Hey, Neil.
How are you, sir?
Doing well. Let's get on my settings. Getting everything set up here. All right. Hey, Kira.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing well. Get on my settings.
9. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We can't hear them. They're waiting on us.
They're all laughing and talking, and I can't hear a word they're saying.
We can hear you, sir, but I'm also hearing a long lag on our audio here.
Kiera.
We've got anybody in IT on the
1, 2, 3, 4. We got 5, so we got quorum. Yeah.
Hey, how are you doing?
You know, we had this issue the other day when we were in here for the, it's this whole new thing. Because didn't we change from the last time that we had the meeting in February?
I see Jerome.
Because this is what happened the other day during the planning session.
Yeah. Are you guys getting a delayed feedback there in the courtroom?
Kiera.
We've got anybody in IT?
There we go. Now we got y'all. 4, we got 5, so we got quorum. Yeah.
Hey, how are you doing?
Jerome, can you hear me?
You know, we had this issue the other day when we were in here for the, it's this whole new thing. Because didn't we change from the last time that we had the meeting in February?
I see Jerome.
Because this is what happened the other day during the planning session. Yeah, that's totally going to throw me off. Okay, Jay's on. Okay, we're good to go. All right. Nathan, can you hear us? Okay. All right. With that, I've got a little after 5, so I'm going to call the Washington County Planning Board April 1st, 2021 meeting to order. Can I get a roll call?
Joel Kelsey,
Here.
Philip Humbard,
I see you.
on
He's got the thumbs up.
Here.
Gil Hall, Lisa Miller,
Here.
Lauren Shackelford,
Here.
Kiera Lewis.
Here.
All right. Next item, approval of the minutes. If everybody's had a chance to look at those, if you don't have any changes to it, I'll take a motion in a second.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion for approval of the minutes.
All right. You got a motion for approval?
I'll second the
Second.
motion.
We got a second by Ms. Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next thing up, Nathan, is the agenda good as is? I can't hear you.
Muted, Nathan. There we go.
He's good. Thumbs up. All right. So Nathan says the agenda's good. So I'll take a motion in a second to approve the agenda as is.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
We got a motion?
Second.
Got a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Agenda's approved. Next item up is unfinished business, which is in the Goshen Planning Area, Orthodox Farmhouse Brewery CUP. Ms. Sita.
I'm looking on my panelist list here, sir, and I'm not seeing Sita. So
I'm
hold
here.
on.
I'm
She's
just
on.
not a
There she is.
panelist.
Need to start your video.
Let me bump her up.
I'm
just
not a
second.
panelist, so I don't have that option.
You good to go now, Sita?
All right. Just making
There we go.
sure.
We
Can
got it.
everyone see it? Okay. So So good evening. So let me just jump into this. This project was tabled the last planning board. So just a very quick recap. The applicants are seeking approval to allow the development and use of their property for a small brewery and a gathering space. Before we go forward, I would like to ask the board how they wish to proceed with the CUP portion of this project. Would you like a discussion, like a Q&A? The applicants should be on the line. Or would you prefer planning staff to go through a presentation like last time and just highlight, some changes? As a just in case, we do have the rest of the slides for the Orthodox Farmhouse Brewery CUP. The applicant is also here again, and they are prepared with a small presentation that they would also like to share with you so that they can explain in their own words their project, their vision for the Orthodox Brewery CUP.
What's your pleasure, Mr. Chair?
Is that it? Sorry. I was reading those front 2 pages. So, okay. Does anybody have any questions for Sita?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, sir, Nathan.
Sita was just asking you if you'd like her to go through the entire presentation from last month, or if you'd like to just jump into what the changes are and hear from the applicants.
If everybody's okay, I would just like for Sita to just let us know what the changes are, and then we can hear from the applicant and move from there.
Mhm.
Unless anybody wants to see anything different. All right, let's move with that, Sita.
Okay. Forgive me, just fast forwarding. So this is what we saw last time, was something that looked like this, the site plan. The close-up, we've got the 3 buildings, parking spaces, and so on. This is the architectural designed site plan. You can see where the tree lines will be. The parking lots that you see here and the parking lot that is on the prior site plan are different. We just want to please keep in mind that this is preliminary, conceptual. The site plan can change a little bit, especially as we go into the permitting process, especially with the septic lines. So what we see here again, the parking design has changed a bit compared to what you saw last time. And then on here, we have just to confirm that that back barn is an existing structure. It's not going to be used, but it's there, it's accounted for. Let me just make sure I got everything. So all the final plans will be reviewed during the construction plan review phase, which normally does not come before the board. The board is usually presented with just a preliminary and a final subdivision. Same with large scales. You have a preliminary, you have a final. In between the preliminary and the final, we usually have a construction where we take, what they're going to build out of conceptual into, this is what they're going to build. We'll review it one more time to make sure it matches the preliminary as much as it can, and if not, we ask why. I know sometimes with the preliminary and the finals, and especially with the CUP, since the CUP is pretty much the site plan is conceptual. If it would ease the board's mind, we can do an update of the project in between the preliminary and the final large scale of this project once we receive construction plans, and that usually is within a year of CUP approval and preliminary large scale approval. The applicant wasn't very fond of the images that I took because we had a dull and drab day. using, an iPhone and did not bother to make the greens greener and the blues bluer. So these are their images that we wanted to share with you. So here is the barn from the northeast. And there's the east side of the building. There is the nearest neighbor there in the distance, the White House, that's kind of in the middle of the screen. The nearest neighbor to the northwest. The property view from the west. And this is the site view left of the driveway. So this is at the proposed driveway and not the residential driveway that I used last time. This is right of the driveway. West side of the building. And this is the picture that I took just for comparison's sake. So the planning board last time asked to see the elevations. These were included in your staff packet. But, oh, I'm so sorry. My finger. There we go. Okay. So here are the architectural conceptual designs of the outside of the building. Again, conceptual. There may be small changes, but this is what the applicant and their architect had in mind. Here are, again, the elevations and the floor plan. So the applicant does not plan on having a full kitchen, but they may potentially have a warming kitchen so they can serve pre-prepared foods like pizza or nachos or something. The applicants do understand that if they decide to have a warming kitchen, they have to seek permitting through the Arkansas Department of Health and possibly the state fire marshal. We wanted to include the warming kitchen in this as a just in case. That way, if they do decide to have one, they don't have to come back. The capacity is set by the architect, and that is for approximately 20 people and 3 employees. As the applicant's design is reviewed further by the state fire marshal, other safety features such as panic hardware, fire extinguishers, and possibly sprinklers may be required, but that's between the applicant and the state. If those are required at this time, we've not heard of those conditions set by the actual state fire marshal or the Washington County fire marshal. The applicant originally stated that they would be open approximately 30 hours a week. The board asked for what days and what times. Staff would like to note that while the applicant has revised their statement to include actual days and times, these were in your update packet, the set hours of operation have not been placed in conditions in projects similar to this one. Staff looked at the conditions approved by the board that were ratified by the quorum court, and we included a few of these in your staff reports. And nowhere did they mention actual set hours of operation. I think we included Sassafras, Saddlebach, and potentially the local Ghost Distillery. There was also one a few years ago called the Shadow Elm Meadery, and that also did not have set days and hours. So with this updated set of conditions for this particular presentation, this particular date, staff did not set hours of operation. We did not add those to the conditions. However, if the board wishes to, the board may set those hours of conditions as they see fit. So here is the board had inquired about the amount of brewing. So, oopsie, there we go. This is the current graph to depict estimated barrelage and sales. There is an update somewhere in your update packet. The applicants will discuss this further after this presentation when they speak to you in their own words, using their own images. So the property and the business is and will be owner occupied. questions arose concerning unruly patrons. The applicant's family is on site. They live within this house. Unruly patrons will not be tolerated. There are safety best practices the applicants as owner-operators will employ to assure that the patrons are not being overserved or driving while intoxicated. As owner-operators, they will be hands-on with servicing and serving patrons. As owner-operators who would like to grow their craft and their business well into the future, having a safe and inviting atmosphere is important. And over-serving or allowing patrons to drive away intoxicated does not factor into their vision of what they're hoping to create. So again, this is the older barn that was mentioned earlier. Staff would like again to note that the utilization or renovation of this barn for the brewery is not a part of the CUP. They understand that this barn, cannot be used in that way. And if they wish to expand into it, they will have to come back before the board to obtain approval to amend their CUP, and that CUP would also have to be ratified by the quorum court. Also, they stated that even if they wanted to include this at this time, the barn's probably not the safest place to have people inside. So this is the site distance of the that I took, again, just to show the differences between the residential drive and the proposed brewery driveway and site distances. So this is from the residence looking left, and this is from the brewery entrance looking left. Looking right, again, this is staff pictures, and this is the applicant's picture from the actual brewery entrance. Nearest residences, there are, we mentioned 3 that were the nearest from last time. Again, just to compare, this is approximately 1,220 feet away. So notifications again were mailed to property owners within 300 feet. Please know that all comments, regardless of proximity to the project, are welcome and accepted. Since the last planning board meeting, we received 26, and there were a few more that came in last minute that I wasn't able to get to the planning board. Again, we received 26 comments. 3 of those, from what I could tell, were within the immediate area. 2 of them were actually from the people within the 300-foot buffer. Of the 3, 2 were in favor of the project and 1 opposed. All comments were received until noon today, and those are within the update packet. If you did not receive an update packet, I apologize. The file was really large, and I could not get everything uploaded in time, but there are paper copies there in the quorum court. And so at this time, we reviewed the Seminal Documents, and we do feel that the proposed brewery can be made compatible with these conditions. And here are some of the changes. We added the Washington County Sheriff's Office, follow all Arkansas ABC regulations and no amplified music. Screening conditions, we say that it will be required instead of it might be required, and that before anything is put into the ground, to please talk to us. We do know that there are conservation agencies that would like to talk to the applicants of some of our various projects to utilize more native species versus hybrids or non-native varieties. We added that, the conditional use permit is only to allow the operation of a brewery, and that the barn within the northeast is not considered a part of this proposal. And again, if they wish to expand into the barn or have it be utilized as a part of the brewery or the business, then an amendment to the current CUP approval from the planning board and ratification by the quorum court would be needed. We added the warming kitchen, should the applicant wish to install a warming kitchen in the future, then they should seek permitting through the state. And that is it. Any questions?
I'm trying to get to work. Keeps talking about a dumb town. Sorry.
Mr. Chair, I believe the applicants are available and would like to make a short presentation to the board as well. And I don't see any hands up in the gallery.
Can you guys hear us?
Mr. Chair, I could hear that, but I
Okay.
can't hear anything coming out of the quorum courtroom, I don't think.
Okay, we can pause for just a minute. We were told we
Yes,
need to be
just a
made
second,
a.
please.
Okay, great.
Where's Joel?
Mr. Chair, can you hear me? Maybe give a thumbs up. Wave or something. You can hear me. We can't hear you.
Hey, Nathan, it shows that he's muted.
Yes, sir. And I've been clicking the ask to unmute button. You just need someone on that end to follow through and unmute it. Jerome still in there?
He's taking care of it. Okay, now can
Now I
y'all
can
hear
hear
me?
you. Yep, we can hear you
Okay.
now.
All right,
thank
then I'm
you.
going to the applicant because I believe they've got
Okay.
their hand raised, would like to say something.
And
All right, we are
go
here.
ahead, Ashlyn. We can hear you.
Great. We need to enable screen sharing and be made a panel participant. We have a couple of slides to share.
And I just did that, and
You've got a slideshow to share other than what we've just seen? She does? Okay.
All see us and or hear us.
I can.
Oh, we can hear you now.
Okay.
And you're a panelist now, so you should be able to share your screen.
Okay. Can you instruct me on share screen? Here we go. All right. Can you guys let us
We
know?
can see both of you.
Oh, you can see us?
We can see you and hear you.
Well,
We got some sun here.
we can't see you yet, so we're just gonna try to get straight to the deck here. All right, can you see our screen?
No.
Not yet.
Okay, so you cannot see our screen currently, just us?
Just y'all.
Correct.
Okay, well, I'm gonna try this one more time. I'm clicking screen share.
Sure.
Here we go.
There, now it's working.
There we go.
Okay.
All right. Thank you
Great.
for bearing with us.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not the only one with technology issues around here. We are going to make this brief because Sita had a thorough presentation. We want to respect your time. So I'm Ashlyn Gagnon. This is Jesse Gagnon. He's right in the sun. I don't know if you can see him or not. But we are the owners of Orthodox Farmhouse Brewery. We just want to take a brief minute to share with you what our vision is and why specifically we want to do a farmhouse brewery model. So we want to start this business because we believe that every community needs a place to connect and a shared table. And for hundreds of years, farmhouse breweries have been playing that really important role in rural communities, just like Goshen. Jesse has 10 years of brewing experience, and he's really going to bring a lot to the table as far as creating a variety of excellent beer to serve to our customers. So that's our vision. We are a small taproom driven brewery that's going to serve a variety of excellent beer that is the best beer in the region is our goal, is what we want to create, but we want to do it in a way that is unpretentious and is available for everyone. So one really important thing we want to mention is that we are parents ourselves. We have a 2-year-old son who you may hear in the background, and we have a little girl who's due in July. So being a family-oriented business is not just our passion, it is a necessity for us to be able to do this. And so that means that we're going to have a variety of non-alcoholic options available for children and for adults alike. So this farmhouse brewery model is unlike a late night bar setting. It is an entirely different atmosphere that's appropriate for people of all ages. So we imagine people coming out with their families, being able to enjoy some time outdoors, enjoying games, acoustic music in the tap room, seasonal beer releases, things like that. So another thing that's really unique about us and our vision is just our love for the Ozarks, specifically the area of Goshen and around the Richland Valley. And so our brewery will specifically highlight the history and agrarian roots of this Ozarks region. And Jesse and I are both conservationists at heart. We want to really encourage our guests to reconnect with Arkansas's rural land by incorporating components from the brewery's property as a part of the experience. So we want that to include things like gardens, orchards, cultivated berries. You'll see a little bit of that plan as we talk through the site plan, but that'll be used in both our brewing process and as a part of the customer experience. And then finally, we would want to just state that for Jesse and I personally, and for the business, it is incredibly important that we are active and contributing members of any community that we're involved in. We want to partner with local farmers to highlight family businesses just like ours. We want to partner with local churches and community organizations to just invest in work that's strengthening the community. And finally, it is crucial for both the business and for Jesse and I's values that this brewery is an excellent neighbor. And we've considered that in every component of building out this business. And that includes how we even laid out the property itself and the tap room. So Jesse's going to go into that a little bit more now.
Yeah, so I just wanted to give a little more insight into some of the visual aids you guys have, which we're really glad you guys have them this time. But Sita has shown you a few of these, so I will make them brief as I go through them. So this rendering is one our architect did from the northeast side, looking back at the building, sort of taken from the lawn where we plan on having guests. That is actually sort of a renovated version of exactly what stands there right now, with a couple key additions. Namely, in the foreground there on the left, you'll see that outdoor patio area, and then far over on the right, that small covered porch that welcomes guests down from the parking area up to the north. I know you guys saw this one, but there's those elevations sort of showing it from a different angle. They're on the top and on the right. On the left, you'll see the diagram of the actual floor layout. On the bottom, the tasting room is that long section there behind the tap room wall. We're going to build a walk-in cooler. Sort of in the center of the building, you see a couple bathrooms with a small hallway leading out into the production floor, which is only 27 by 30. It's a pretty small production floor, but big enough for what we're seeking to do. Moving on, you saw this site plan as well. So basically, as the entrance comes in from the lower left-hand side there off of Ball Road, our house is immediately to the right down there in the bottom right-hand corner. We're going to put up a barrier around our house, just like a visual barrier with some fencing and whatnot, just to really show the contrast between our house as a residence and then the rest of the property as a business. So as guests drive up to the left, there will be a lot of those agrarian elements that we've discussed already, orchards, gardens, things of that sort. And then parking is there on the north side, where there's that walkway that comes in from the ADA parking down through the lawn into the north side of the tap room. Most important thing to note from this site plan are those green outlines of the visual barriers we plan to create. We have some awesome neighbors to the east and to the west, and preserving their privacy and their way of life is imperative to us. So what we plan on doing is putting up a nice, tasteful wooden fence, probably a traditional split rail fence right along the border. And then in front of that, we're going to plant a mix of some evergreens and some decorative deciduous trees. The idea there is that the evergreens will sort of grow quickly and take on some form right away to provide privacy, while the deciduous trees slowly come up from there and sort of make a really good solid barrier that's not just a big hedge like some of us see. So that's our plan, to actually preserve their privacy and sort of insulate the immediate neighborhood from the business itself.
Yeah, and as a note, we love the idea of working with local conservation agencies to plant native trees and plants. That is right in accordance with our vision. So we were excited to hear that, Sita. Next is this is the last thing. We want to talk about the fact sheet. This is really for your reference. The board has had this information if they were able to get the packet. So this is really just, we heard in the last meeting you needed the brass tacks information on the brewery. This is where it is clearly outlined for you. So I'm not going to read through all of this for the sake of time, but you will note that we did write hours of operations as, proposed hours of operations. We took several businesses into account on this, including other breweries in town and breweries that were within the county. For the purpose of this, we focused on those that were solely in the county, Saddleback and Sassafras. So you can see our proposed hours of business. You can see that on any night, we do not have anything proposed later than 9 p.m. That is intentional as a part of being, a part of the family-oriented business that we talked about. You can see music, food, and employees here. No amplified music in accordance with the Washington County Sheriff's Department. Sita mentioned our plan for food with the warming kitchen. We also need to note that to offer some other food options, for our guests, we had considered inviting some local food truck to come set up during peak operation hours in the future. We wanted to note that. Jesse and I will be the primary employees, with the plan to add a few more employees within the coming year as business allows. And then everything else on this page, Sita really covered. So we're talking about, we're going to be in compliance with the ADEQ. We have the non-exposure certification already. You will see that listed in our permits. For those of you that got our very long packet of explanation, it's because you got 60 pages of our actual permits in hand. We wanted to prove that we had them in hand. We weren't just saying we had them. So you can see everything else here, our signage and lighting and screening in accordance to what Sita had put as the conditions. And the final thing is that we're going to talk about kind of the owner, investors, and production estimates.
Yeah, we think it might be important to note, even if it's not required per se, that Ashlyn and I hold 100% of the equity in the business. We are the sole owners and operators. We think that might be important to note, simply because people would naturally have reservations if there was a large group of investors sort of pushing us from behind to grow the business in an unhealthy direction that wasn't sustainable for the neighborhood. We also wanted to touch on the production estimates, as Sita mentioned. What you got in the packet before more had to do with the revenue streams. If anyone's interested in actual barrelage, a beer barrel, that nomenclature within the industry means 31 US gallons. So I have it listed out here. In year one, we're estimating to produce 115 beer barrels. In year two, we're estimating 201 beer barrels. And that is because we're beginning a limited distribution to some of the surrounding towns, to some key accounts that would align with our values. Year 3, we're estimating 356, and that's because a slight bump in distribution as well as starting to can our product as opposed to just let it out the door in growlers and other alternative packaging. So those are those numbers there. 356 is a relatively small amount compared to any of the local breweries you guys would probably be aware of. I know it sounds like a decent amount, but that doesn't account for waste or other things. So I think that's about it. Thank you for giving us a few minutes to follow up with you guys after last month. So I don't know if we should turn it over back to you, Nathan, or what you want to do.
Thank you.
Well, look,
Mr. Chair,
I
do you have any
appreciate-
questions for the
I
applicant?
appreciate that presentation. That's much more clear, much more definitive in order for us to make a good sound decision. You know, and Ashlyn, I want to thank you for attending, you know, our workshop and learning what we're trying to do as well. So I appreciate that very, very much. So
Thank you.
does anybody have any questions for the applicants? All right.
We
Nathan,
have,
do we have anybody in the public with a hand raised?
Yes, sir. Let me go ahead and Mary Loftus. Whenever you unmute, you can go right ahead.
Stay muted. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Okay, good, good. I wrote a letter and I was just going to read it real quickly because it made sense to me and it followed my train of thought. And I don't know if everyone on the board has seen it. It was sent last week, but you know, sometimes the ether doesn't get in everything. But basically, I live, or my husband and I, David Massey and myself, live on Tuttle Road, and our property has a fairly good property line on Ball Road, which would be the road that the brewery is on. And so the letter that I wrote is, our farm is very close to the proposed brewery site. Our farm is becoming a family farm with one daughter managing a flock of sheep and another rotationally grazing our herd of Angus beef cattle, which got out last night, by the way, and tending bees. She and her husband are completing an NRCS project with 5 water taps through the pasture. We have a huge garden and talk from time to time about having a farm to table celebration in our family. We as a family are invested in Goshen. Land of Goshen has always been a unique community. We moved from Chicago to raise our family on a farm in 1985. Goshen has a strong sense of community, and the community building is home to the Goshen Riding Club. It had been home to RCI when it was still working, 4-H and EHC, which are extension homemakers. Even now, Goshen is designated as a tree city, and the Arbor Board will be giving away 100 trees at the Community Recycling Day in April. There's talk of a farmer's market starting up in the community building this year. Orthodox Farmhouse Brewery vision enhances the Goshen community spirit. My husband and I, David Massey and I, traveled to Wales, and in these tiny hamlets, the neighborhood pub is the center of the community. The hosts of our Airbnb made it a point to gather at day's end to catch up with neighbors. They were even training local residents on CPR in the back room. We did not feel like outsiders when we had dinner there. We felt like we were part of the community. Some neighbors may think the addition of a local brewery in the area would decrease land prices. We do not. We have read where these amenities, such as an event venue, a community center, a local brewery, and a farmer's market, all add to property values. People want to have local places to go. we have seen many changes in Goshen these last 35 years. Older neighbors transition and newer neighbors come on board. And we are definitely for the Orthodox Farmhouse Brewery, and we will support it. I thank you. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Nathan. Oh, thank you, ma'am. Nathan, anyone else?
No, sir. I don't see any other hands up.
All right, then I'll bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chair, if I could, two things quickly. First of all, I agree.
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
Do what, Nathan?
Apologize for cutting you off, Mr. Shackelford, but got one hand in the air right now. So whenever you're ready.
Okay, let me remind it too, while we're waiting on them to connect and everything, that, we limit comments to 3 minutes for an individual and 10 minutes for a group. So just want to make that aware that once you start talking, I do have a timer set. Are you ready?
I can either I can activate this person, this attendee, or you can hear out Mr. Shackelford's comments. Up to you, sir.
Now, just go ahead. We'll hear them.
Yes, can you all hear me?
We got you.
Okay. My name is Matt Dickhut. I'm a neighbor half-mile down the road from Jesse and Ashland's proposed brewery. And me and my partner, Brett Williams, we met them a couple weeks ago, and we're just shocked at how just their proposal for the community, their support for the community. Jesse was actually walking the road, picking up trash. We have, litter bugs everywhere. He is a great asset to this community, our road. And I don't know if you guys saw our letter either, but my girlfriend Brett wrote this, and I'd like to read it really quickly. It'd take me less than 2 minutes. As landowners and community members of Goshen and neighbors of the prospective brewery site, we would like to offer full support for the plans of the Orthodox Farmhouse Brewery. We moved to Goshen in June of last year from Fayetteville. It's been a long time goal of mine to acquire a plot of land and move to Goshen. We purchased 32 acres down the road and are starting a small hobby farm on this property. The visions and stories of what life would be like and the goal became a reality, and it's allowed us to connect with the dirt surrounding us and the community where everyone knows each other's names. We thought that we could not have been happier with the decision to move to Ball Road until the day we met Jesse and Ashland. While driving down the road on a Saturday morning to run some errands, we came upon Jesse helping his son picking up trash along the road, and what a first impression that was. We stopped to say hello, introduce ourselves, and had been meaning to do so for months. A quick roadside hello turned into 2 hours of making connections of mutual and long-lasting friends with interest in similar goals for the future of our community. When they shared their vision with us during this visit, we immediately began wanting to support their idea. I believe that we saw the benefit of the project was not only the project itself, but the people behind it. They were extremely welcoming, kind, and easygoing, and truly have a deep desire to develop a space that creates the opportunity for deeper community connection. A few weeks ago, I met with a woman who grew up in Goshen to discuss the farmers market, and I believe this was Mishmashi's daughter. She talked about the weekly dinners with the community and saw how she thought back to her childhood of growing up in a small town. I believe that the Orthodox Farmhouse Brewery will be an integral and reinvigorating part that provides.
I'm going to ask you to have to ask you to. I appreciate your time and everything, but like I said, we limit it to 3 minutes, so I'm going to ask you to have to wrap it up right quickly, sir.
You got it. We just want to say we're neighbors down the road. We are a half mile away, and we're in full support of Orthodox Farmhouse Brewery.
All right. Thank you very much. Nathan, anybody else have their hand up? Okay, then I'm going to bring it back to the board this time.
Mr. Chair, again, just for the record, this project is in the Goshen planning area. I do serve as the chairman of the City of Goshen Planning Commission. Don't feel like there's a conflict there, but I did want to state for the record. Also, wanted to echo what you said. I commend the applicant and the staff for the report that's before us today. In specific, pages 5 through 12 really address all the questions I had on this last time we looked at it. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. Anybody else got any comments other than that? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion recommending approval of the CUP for the Orthodox Farmhouse Brewery.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
We got a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, Orthodox Farmhouse Brewery CUP passes. All right, now we move into new business, land development hearings, Goshen planning area. Also, it's the Orthodox Farmhouse Brewery, pre-LSD, and Cedar, you're up again. If you want to go through it, that's fine. If there's anything changes there, that's it, or we can go straight into discussions, whatever you want to do.
I don't have any changes. I do have a one quick update from the applicant's engineer, Mr. Jeff Bates. And let me just, he sent it, I just now checked the email, and he did send me an update on the site plan. The site plan that wasn't included in the architectural designs, the one that's in full color, that is the official site plan. Just for clarification, because I wasn't 100% sure before, but we are now 100% sure. There are no major changes. The only thing is we'll continue working to finalize the drainage plan. I think our county engineer wanted something small to be shown on the site plan. Mr. Bates said that wouldn't be a big deal to add. I think a few little dots or something. We will, if this is approved, then we again move into the construction plan phase. And in that, again, that's not usually brought before the board, but if the board would like an update, we're more than happy to take you guys along also on that process. And that it's mostly more in-depth technical review, since it's the final plans that we look at before the applicant can actually start developing their property. We focus more on the roads and more on the drainage. Any questions, or is there anything specifically the board would like to see or know? Otherwise, I don't have any major.
Anyone? Okay. I'll still go through the process. Applicants, are you fine? You want to say anything else? They good? No hands? Nathan?
We just want to say thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate all the work it took to get here. So thank you, Sita and Nathan and board.
As far as the LSD goes, I don't think we have anything else to add. Yeah.
Okay. Nathan, anybody in the public have their hand up?
No, sir.
All right, then I'll bring it back to the board. I'll entertain a motion, one way or the other.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the Orthodox Farmhouse LSD as per staff comments.
All right, I've got a motion.
Second.
Got a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Orthodox Farmhouse Brewery pre-LSD is approved as well. Good luck to both of you. All right. Section C under the Farmington planning area. The Mr. is Jack McClure pre-sub. Cedar, you're up again.
So just for clarification, it is the MRS, Jack McClure subdivision. Those are the applicant's initials, MRS. So the MRS Jack McClure preliminary subdivision request is located within the Midwestern area of the county. It is accessible by Jack McClure Road and Little Elm Road and is within the city of Farmington's planning area. There are 3 parcels that total 16.53 acres together. The 2 western parcels are accessed from Jack McClure, and the eastern parcel is accessed from Little Elm Road. The applicant is proposing to take these 3 parcels and subdivide them into a 7-lot subdivision, again known as the MRS Jack McClure subdivision. Just for clarification, lots 1 through 4 will be accessed from Jack McClure, and the remaining 3 lots from Little Elm. Proposed lot 1, proposed lots 1 through 4 will be approximately 3 acres. 5 and 6 are 1 acre each respectively, and the remainder, which is lot 7, is 2.52 acres. Proposed lot 1 is currently vacant. Lot 2 is currently vacant, but we'll have a detention pond engineered to assist with controlling stormwater runoff. Lot 3 does have an existing pond on it, but is otherwise vacant. Lot 4 has a barn type agricultural outbuilding structure on it. 5 and 6 are vacant, and lot 7 has existing residential and outbuilding structures on it. The proposed subdivision, again, is within the city of Farmington's planning area. The city did have its planning commission meeting on March 22nd, and the proposed subdivision was approved, of course, pending city conditions. Staff would like to make note that the county generally does not enforce conditions that it does not itself set, meaning the city of Farmington, again, impose its own set of conditions and requirements upon the applicant. The county will not enforce these as they are between the applicant and the city. However, the county will also not approve any development until all of the conditions have been met. The county will not sign any plats until all other non-county signatures have been obtained. Just for clarification's sake. So this black circle is a 1 mile buffer. And then the proposed subdivision is in the middle in red. There are approximately 13 different platted subdivisions within this 1 mile buffer. And this does include minor subdivisions. Here's just a close-up. To the north, we have the Little Elm subdivision. To the west, Sims minor subdivision, Evans addition, and then kind of to the southeast, Johnson minor subdivision. The applicant is proposing again to install a dry detention pond towards the south side of proposed lot 2. The detention pond is designed to control stormwater generated by the development and reduce the downstream flooding. It will release water into an existing channel and then into a stormwater system. So basically it'll collect the water and slowly release it into the drainage ditch, which is not installed yet. The total volume of the pond is approximately 0.63 acres. The water released from the pond is supposed to equal or be even less than what's released pre-development. The applicant is currently still working with the county engineer. The applicant will not be allowed to start construction until the county engineer gives their approval of the stormwater plan. Additionally, the county engineer must also approve the construction plans before the applicant can break ground to start development. We visited the site and did not note anything of concern. Here's the house that is a part of the proposed lot 7. Here's another vantage point. The barn on lot 4 is kind of on the right side of the screen. Beyond that, to the right of that is the proposed lot 7. I am parked in the Little Elm Church parking lot. So directly ahead are proposed lots 1 through 4. Again, a different point of view of it. There's the barn, there's the residence, there's the church. And we're looking across lots 1 through 4. So this is on Jack McClure, or I'm sorry, on Little Elm Road, looking south. Here's looking north, and just for reference, there's Bethel Blacktop and Little Elm four-way stop. Very small red dots in the distance there. And then over here, kind of behind the trees and a little bit further back is the house on lot 7. Here's the entrance to Jack McClure Road. Here's looking down or west. The subdivision proposal is on the right side of the screen. And here's looking the other direction. Here's looking southeast. Directly across or directly south. Sorry about the pole. And here's looking southwest. The proposed subdivision is in red. So staff would like to point out some distances from the proposed subdivision to nearby residences. These are the residences that staff feels may be most disrupted by construction and the actual development itself. Staff noted that there were approximately maybe 6 nearby residences that range from 82 feet to 395 feet. There are 2 on Little Elm and 4 along Jack McClure. Staff sent notifications to the proposed subdivision to property owners within 300 feet of the boundaries. We only received 1 comment questioning the drainage. It is their hope that the drainage is directed away from their residents and that their neighbors, that of their residents and of their neighbors, since they live directly across the street from the proposal. At this time, staff would like to recommend approval of the MRS Jack McClure preliminary subdivision with the following conditions. And these conditions have not changed since the time of your staff report. Any questions?
Any questions for Sita? All right. Nathan, does the applicant have a hand raised? Want to say anything?
No, sir, no hands are up.
For public comment either? All right, to
No,
the
sir.
board.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a recommendation for approval of MRS Jack McClure pre-sub, subject to staff's comments and recommendations.
All right, I've got a motion.
Second.
Got a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the MRS Jack McClure pre-sub passes. Next to the county, item D, PBGH Springdale Highway 412 Dollar General Final LSD. Sita, it's you again.
Okay. This is the PBGH Springdale Highway 412 final large-scale development request, aka the Dollar General store project. The project is situated on the corner of East Highway 412 and Old Hickory Flat Road. The actual project size is 2.06 acres. The applicant is in the process of splitting this acreage off from this larger parcel. Surveys have already been approved by planning, and they're in the process of being recorded, and the deeds still have to be written and recorded. The proposed 2.06 acres, again, is on the corner of East Highway 412 and Old Hickory Flat Road. The applicant received their CUP approval by the planning board last year on July 25th. The CUP was ratified by the Quorum Court last year on August 20th. The preliminary large scale was also approved at the July 25th, 2020 meeting. So the applicant had proposed to construct a 9,100 square foot building that will be utilized as the Dollar General. Here it is. It is rectangular in design. It's approximately 70 by 130 feet. And again, here's the image of it. The site plan calls for 11 parking spaces along the western side. We counted 11 parking spaces along the western side. Here are the 2 ADA parking spaces. All other parking areas were accounted for. Here's the back side of the building. A condition of approval was to have the dumpsters area screened. There it is. The primary septic field is within the front center of this image. The secondary field is kind of in the back where that red line is. That red line is supposed to kind of try to highlight where the fence line is, just to give you a visual. And here's just another point of view. So we've got, again, the dumpster, the primary and the secondary, and the detention pond is kind of back there. Sorry, I have a lot of pictures of this. The dry detention pond was proposed and built to collect runoff and release it into the ditch along the right-of-way of Hickory Flat Road. In the foreground on the left side, where my secondary septic field image is, there's the pipe that will carry the stormwater runoff into the ditch. The drainage ditch is on our right. There's a culvert under the entrance. And again, everything else is just for perspective references. Here's the entrance. The road department did review the final LSD plans. They did not have further concern or comments. The county engineer reviewed the drainage for the final large scale and stated that the applicant adhered to the construction plans and no other concern or other comments were made. So we again reviewed the Seminal Documents and we recommend approval with these following conditions. And these conditions were approved during the CUP and the preliminary large scale. We did not see any conditions that were currently outstanding. Any questions?
Any questions for Sita, anyone? All right, Nathan, is the applicant here? Do they want to speak?
I don't see any hands up in the audience, sir.
And none in the audience. Okay, then I'll take it to the board.
Mr. Chair, I'll motion to approve the PBGH Springdale Highway 412 General Final LSD.
I've got a motion
I'll second that motion.
and a second. All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the PBGH Springdale Highway 412 General Final LSD is approved. And to conditional use permit hearing section under the county, item E is King's Ransom RV Park CUP, presented by Nick.
Sir, can y'all hear me? Good?
We got
All
you.
right.
Go ahead.
I'll share my screen here.
There you go.
Okay. Well, hold up, wrong one.
Yeah, the CUP's up, Nick.
Okay, cool. All right. This is the King's Ransom RV Park conditional use permit request. The project is located in the northeastern corner of Washington County. This is the vicinity map for the project. As you can see, it's located just north of East Highway 412 out near Beaver Lake. The site map shows the parent parcels more closely. There are 3 total parcels that the applicants have included to be considered for the CUP. Phase 1 of development, which will be discussed in a subsequent preliminary large-scale development presentation, is located on the eastern parcel, 00113688001. The majority of the entire proposed development is shown to be located on this same parcel. Here's the CUP exhibit that was submitted by ESI to demonstrate the potential preliminary layout of the entire RV park upon completion. Phase 1 is right down here. Down here in the southeastern corner of the parcel I just mentioned. Phase 2 is just to the north, proposed phase 2, I'll say. And then phase 3 is over here to the northwest. And it's the largest of the 3. The exact location of phases 2 and 3 are not yet known due to their preliminary nature. According to the applicant's CUP letter of intent, phases 1 and 2 will contain 18 RV spaces each, while phase 3 will contain 75 spaces, totaling 111 spaces. 111 spaces. The applicants were approved for a CUP for the same number of RV spaces, 111, in January of 2020. But there were concerns about drainage and erosion near the lake and to the neighboring Blue Springs Village subdivision. This time around, they've shifted their development to the eastern side of the property to avoid those same issues. The entrance of this development will be over here on the western side of Nob Hill Loop. This is a map that shows the project parcels in green, surrounded by all of the properties that were sent certified notifications regarding this project. 38 neighbors were notified within that 300-foot boundary, and planning staff has not received any comments or concerns from neighboring properties. This image shows the nearest neighbors to the proposed phase 1 of development. The closest neighbor is directly to the southwest of phase 1. That single family home is about 320 feet away from the proposed development. There's another nearby single family home located to the northeast of proposed phase 1, and it sits across Nob Hill Loop about 420 feet away. Phase 2 will be closer to the home across Nob Hill if the applicants decide to develop in the shown proposed location for phase 2. Planning staff conducted a site visit on March 10th, 2021 to the property. This is an image looking west down the proposed street in phase 1. This image kind of gives you an idea of the kind of slope that we're working with. And this portion of the development is relatively flat, considering that there are several ravines surrounding different portions of the total development. This is a site distance looking right or south on Nob Hill Loop from the entrance to the development. The road down there in the distance is Highway 412. And here's the site distance looking north. Planning staff has reviewed the submitted documents and feels that King's Ransom RV Park can be made compatible with the following conditions. There has been a change to the conditions since the time of the staff report. The utility comments from Ozarks Electric and Springdale Water have been omitted from the list of conditions of approval for this project. Instead, number 1 from the list of planning conditions, as seen here, will require the applicant to comply with all of the technical review comments from all entities, including utility companies, before final approval is given. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Nick, anyone? All right. Nathan, is the applicant want to speak?
I have Daniel Lazenby, and he would be the project manager. Daniel, you're on.
Thank you, Nathan, and planning board members. We have made some pretty big changes to this since the time you guys looked at this the first time around. And we're coming to you with the CUP, which we're discussing now clearly. And then we also have LSD on the agenda for phase one. And then we would be coming back later with LSDs for phase 2 and 3. Once phase 1's complete and applicants ready to move forward with the additional phases, and be happy to answer any questions you guys have beyond what Nick presented.
Anybody got any questions for Daniel? All right, Nathan, anybody in the audience want to speak?
There's nobody else in the audience with their hands up, sir.
All right, then I'll bring it to the board.
I just had one question. The CUP is for all 3 phases, not just phase 1.
Correct.
Anyone else?
Preliminary large scale will be for just for phase 1, and then 2 and 3 will have to come back later.
Okay. Does anybody else have a question? All right, then I'm bringing it to the board for your pleasure.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the King Ransom RV Park CUP with staff recommendations.
All right, I've got a motion.
I'll second.
Got a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, King's Ransom RV Park CUP passes. Now on to the land development hearing section under the county, King's Ransom RV Park pre-LSD. Nick, you again.
Right. Okay. All right, so this is the King's Ransom RV Park preliminary large-scale development request. The project, again, is located in the northeastern corner of Washington County. Again, here's a vicinity map that shows the project parcels and surrounding area. Here's the site map again. Shows the parent parcels that the applicants have included in this development. For this large-scale hearing, we'll be focusing on parcel 001-13688-001 for phase 1. It'll be down here in the southeastern corner in this kind of green clearing. This is the most recent site plan for phase 1 of King's Ransom from ESI. It includes 18 oversized cement RV spaces that are serviced by private water, sewer, and electrical lines. Individual RV spaces will be 30 feet wide and 55 feet long. Each RV space will have an adjacent secondary parking spot for an additional vehicle. Here's the private road plan from ESI's most recent large-scale submittal. The private road containing the RV spaces will access off of Nob Hill Loop near the intersection of Nob Hill Loop and East Highway 412. In the staff report, the private road is classified as gravel, but I was informed by the applicants today that the road will indeed be chip and seal due to the slope nature of the project site. Our county contracted engineer was worried that the gravel would be a danger of washing away in the event of a storm. The private road will feature a cul-de-sac turnaround on its western end that has a 38-foot radius. I know it's kind of small, but yeah, 38 feet from the center point out to the curb. These are the results from soil morphology test pits that were dug in the vicinity of phase 1. All of these areas tested were suitable for a septic system that will be large enough to service the 18 RV spaces from phase 1. Planning staff hasn't received an ADH septic permit yet, but the applicants will submit one before construction is commenced. This is the neighbor map that shows the project parcels in green, surrounded by the properties that were sent certified notifications regarding this project. Again, 38 neighbors were notified within that 300-foot boundary, and planning staff hasn't received any comments or concerns from any neighbors in the area. Planning staff conducted a site visit to the location on March 10th, 2021. This is an image looking west down the side of the proposed road that will be flanked with RV spaces. Again, you can somewhat see the slope of the proposed area of development. Along with other comments, our county contracted engineer requested a detention pond to capture some of the potential extra runoff stormwater post-development. The pond will sit at the northwest of phase 1, excuse me, kind of back in this area. And has been reviewed by our county contracted engineer. There are currently a few outstanding comments from the county engineer, but ESI has addressed the more crucial comments surrounding this development and continues to be adamant about meeting our request in a timely fashion. Here is a closer look at where the turnaround will be. This is just a graded land, obviously, but this will be chipped and sealed as well, I assume. This is an image of a graded space that will eventually become one of the 18 RV spaces. As you can see, there's a relatively large spaces and will be large enough to comfortably house an RV. Again, here's the site distance looking right or south on Knob Hill Loop with 412 in the distance there. And the site distance left out of the entrance off of Knob Hill Loop. Planning staff has reviewed the submitted documents and recommends approval of the Kings Ransom RV Park preliminary large-scale development request with conditions. There has been a change again to the conditions. The utility comments from Ozarks Electric and Springdale Water have been omitted from the list of conditions of approval for this project. And again, number 1 from the planning conditions will require the applicant to comply with all of the technical review comments from all entities, including utility companies, before final approval. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Nick?
I have a question real quick, Mr. Chair.
All right.
Nick, can you discuss briefly why those comments from the utilities were omitted?
I spoke with the applicants today. And we briefly just talked about the conditions of approval from the staff report. And basically there were some issues with the water company, with Springdale Water, that they were saying that they may need to get a 12-inch water main installed. Basically I was I guess streamlining the conditions to where it was just one condition as opposed to being a full list of Springdale Water conditions that had to be met.
And
so I just did it kind of in one fatal swoop.
Continuing on that, would you say that the compliance with the Springdale Water Utility would be between the water utility and the applicant, and that it would be up to the water utility to sign off on the site plan before we do? Is that right?
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is the applicant want to speak?
Yes, sir.
Any hands up for the applicant or the public?
I've got Blake Murray. Blake, you're on. Go ahead.
Yes, this is Blake Murray with Engineering Services. Again, Daniel Asby is on here as well. If there's anything related to the CUP or some of that septic testing, he might be able to address those a little bit better than me since he handled that on the front end of the project. I don't have a lot to add. I think Nick did a good job explaining all that. I'm happy to talk through any of the site design constraints that any of y'all may have, as well as the cul-de-sac at the end, or what we're proposing for paving or septic. I'm here if y'all have questions.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Blake? All right. Is there any hands up in the public, Nathan, that would like to speak?
No, sir. Blake had his hand up and Daniel, but after Blake talked, Daniel lowered his hand and there's none left.
Okay, then I'll bring it back to the board for your pleasure.
Mr. Chair, I guess I think curious on the CUP, I'll ask the same question on the LSD as the new guy. Although we're looking at phase 1, 2, and 3, we're actually only making action on phase 1 tonight, correct? When phase 2 comes back, there'll be another opportunity to review, have another opportunity for public input, another opportunity for conditions of approval, that sort of thing.
Yes, right. Nick, Nathan, yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarification.
Okay, if anybody doesn't have any other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I do have Daniel Lazenby threw his hand back up, and so as one of the project managers, would you like to hear him real quick?
Yep, let's hear what he's got to say right quick.
Daniel, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify one thing on the utility comments with the conditions of approval. One of the items that Springdale Water had brought up was a 12-inch water main, and it was constructed years ago as part of a subdivision. And at full build out, that may be necessary to support phase 3 of the project. We don't think it's going to be required to do phase 1 and probably not phase 2. So we're proposing to coordinate that with Springdale Water. But I just want to clarify that we're not proposing to construct the 12-inch water main, which is, I think it's over 1,000 feet long and 12-inch diameter for phase 1. We're just proposing to put a water meter on the street. And the only reason I mention it's because it was a condition of approval from the utility company. So we'll definitely coordinate with Springdale Water to get water for phase 1, but just not the 12-inch water main at this time. And that was all I wanted to say.
All right, Nathan, we good with that?
Thank you, sir.
You good with that, Nathan?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, then again, I'll bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the King's Ransom RV Park pre-LSD.
All right, I've got a motion.
Second.
Got a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. King's Ransom RV Park pre-LSD is approved, which brings us to other business. Anything besides the meeting reminders, Nathan?
Yes, sir. We got a big one. Not only are the meeting reminders for May 6th and June 10th, your next upcoming meetings, but I wanted to make sure and let all the planning board members know, as well as the planning staff, that now that COVID has been with us for over a year, and what with all the vaccinations and the availability of them and what have you, we are going to be full-time in person in the quorum courtroom, no more Zoom meetings. So
there you
May
go.
6th,
Sounds
everyone
great.
go ahead and
Progress.
being present. Thank you, sir. That's it.
Absolutely. Progress there.
Yes, sir.
It's always nice to see everybody's face in person instead of on a TV. So anyway.
I take that personally, sir. Thank you.
Hey, whether we like each other or not. No, I'm just kidding. Has anybody got anything else to add? All right, if not, then I adjourn this meeting then. Everybody enjoy your evening and thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can't get my cursor to work.